I help entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, authors, and service-based professionals to manage their money in ways that work for them and unique to their personality, their skills, and their experience, and to master their mindset so that they can create the life and business of your dreams. So I created this show to showcase coaches and service providers that help my target market, which are purpose-driven entrepreneurs, to learn more about what can help them in their business. And I'm calling it an edutainment show. So it's going to be a little bit entertaining and give you lots of great information. So I'm glad that you're here as a viewer. And I just want to jump right in. And I want to introduce my first guest. This is John Dumholdt. And John is a coach and a former chemist. John's really interesting. You're going to love John. And he brings a playful heart and scientific mind to coach his players to win in their careers. So I know a lot of you might be in a current day job or working in your career and having a side gig or a side hustle. And so you're going to want to listen to what John's got to say. So John finds that the vast majority of workers are unhappy and unfulfilled, and it's his aim to change this. His coaching style is practical yet deep, challenging yet supportive, and effective yet fun. And when John's not coaching, he's enjoying being outdoors, enjoying music, movies, great conversations, and watching the Green Bay Packers. I want to hear more about that. And chasing his kitten, Pea Pie, around. So, John, I just want to welcome you here to Journey to Freedom TV.
Thank you so much for having me, Estelle. It's awesome to be here.
All right, so I can see a cheese wedge behind you. Tell me about you being a Packer fan.
Yes, I grew up in Wisconsin, and when you grow up in Wisconsin, you're pretty much obliged to become a Packer fan, and that's what happened to me. I love the Packers. I watch most games, and a little confession about me is I typically watch the Packer games alone by myself because I turn into a crazy barbarian and act just crazy and bizarre, non-coach like, and I don't want anyone to see it. So that's my break from from normal civilized behavior that I get a few times for the year. But that's and I wear my you can see my cheddar head. I wear that, yes, during the game.
You know, it's my theory that organized sports is the one place where you can be a barbarian and be in good company and be acceptable. You know, I know a lot of people love sports and they use it to get that aggression out, or, you know, after a hard day at work, they can come and express themselves and feel like,
Right, yeah. I think there's a mismatch between how humans are and the normal conduct of the corporate world. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about that today.
Yes.
So John, tell me a little bit about your story. I'm always interested in people's story and your journey and sort of how you've gotten to be where you are right now.
Sure. Well, like I shared, I grew up in Wisconsin where loved to be outdoors, loved the Packers. I decided to become a chemist, went to school to become a chemist. A few years, I'm giving you the super short version now.
Okay.
I'm putting 49 years into 30 seconds. So I decided to become a chemist. A few years into my chemistry journey, I noticed that I wasn't super enthused about learning more about it. And at the same time, became interested in how I can make my life better, started reading self-help books. And then discovered the coaching profession, and I discovered having my own coach could really make some big breakthroughs and transformations in my life that were far more powerful than what I got from reading self-help books. And very quickly, I knew this was the career for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's just great. So tell me a little bit about who you work with.
Okay, so I work with people, and your introduction at the beginning of the conversation was really good. Like, I work with people that are I use the phrase almost ready for a career transition. So that might be changing companies, changing careers, or even starting their own business.
Tell me a little bit about, John, when you say almost ready, kind of what does that mean for you?
Well, what often
And for
happens,
them.
sure, yeah, often people get into this kind of like this view of their career that it's black and white. Either I stay and put up with the crap I'm dealing with in my current job and just suck it up and deal with it, or I leave, and it's like they put it down into like a decision to be made. Whereas I help people realize that like this is a process. You can keep your current job and you can start shifting your mindset. You can start learning some skills. There's lots of things you can do to prepare yourself and get on the pathway to leaving for a career that's more true to your heart, or even starting your own business. Or perhaps the company you work for is just not a match for you. Maybe it's dysfunctional and you need to leave. So I help people get out of like the black and white thinking. It's like either I leave, either I stay, or I go.
That's really good, because I do think that keeps people stuck, right?
Totally.
That
yes.
there's so much fear in making what I call the leap,
Yes.
that they stay stuck when they really could launch.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
what I hear you saying is that there is a way to launch, so that you're not disrupting your life and you're not sort of traumatizing yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like understanding the dynamics, understanding our inner human nature, so that we make this transition with the highest degree of likelihood of success.
Mm-hmm. And you made this transition for yourself.
Yes, I did. And I learned a lot in my transition. I learned a lot from coaches about how to make it. And I'm so excited. I'm so happy that I am doing something that provides great value for people. It's needed in the world, and I absolutely love it. And that's what I want for everyone I coach.
That's awesome. So speaking of that, John, and as you've gone through your transition, what's your big dream for your business and for your clients?
That like I just shared, my big dream for my clients is to like have them know and believe that like people have a sense in general that they could do and be so much more, but they're kind of looking for almost like, I would use the word permission to allow this to come out. So I want people to like know that's in there, and then to embrace it, and then to get on the pathway from where they're currently at to achieving a career vision that includes like their full potential, their full capacity being expressed in their career.
Whether it's a business or even in their current position, right?
Yes, it's very possible. Like this can happen as well, that you can make some mindset shifts and change some perspectives and find out your current position. You can be happy there. That's another possibility as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you find is the biggest challenge for your clients.
I think the biggest challenge is, before I share that, I just want to explain like the biggest force that drives human behavior is fear. Like our brains are designed to keep us safe and to keep us out of harm's way. And that's part of human design. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good thing. But when we are controlled by this versus understanding, and let me take a step back. When we're controlled by this, then our thinking tends to turn into black and white, where it's stay or go. And when we're controlled by the fear, like we lose access to our creativity and our intelligence and our resourcefulness. So that's what I help people with is create a plan and connect with their own creativity, intelligence, and resourcefulness, so that they're bringing all of those things to the transition. And when that happens, the likelihood of success skyrockets.
Right. And so you have some coaching processes, it sounds like, that you help them to work through that fear?
I help them work through the fear. I help them align their life to to put their life in alignment with the career they want to move to.
Okay.
And that includes things like getting creating a new tribe, because humans are built to this gets back to the fear piece. Like, people want to be part of a tribe where they feel safety in. And when you're making a career transition, moving to a new career, one thing that people often miss out on is, like, they have this group of people that they feel safe with in their current job, and they want to move to a different place, a different career, and they don't have that tribe established yet.
Yes.
So I help them, like, let's establish that tribe first before you make the move, and then use that tribe to, the idea is to create a tribe that is a reflection of where you want to go, but also have a tribe that that wants the best for you, that is encouraging of your potential to come out. And then that flips the whole fear thing on its head when your tribe, because people want to stay in alignment with their tribe. They want to stay good with
Absolutely.
it. And so if your tribe expects bigger things out of you, then you don't have this conflict of staying good with my tribe versus playing big in the world,
Gotcha.
which is a big conflict most people have. But if you can, like I said, if you can set up your new tribe in a way that encourages your awesomeness to come out, then it's much more likely to happen.
And that leads me to a question, John. People that get into their career, is it based on that same kind of theory where they're trying to fit in? They might pick a career or a job based on where they're at with a tribe. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Totally, yeah, totally. And I can share my story on that.
Okay,
That's one of the
great.
reasons I became a chemist. Like, there's a part of the story is I was interested in chemistry, so I liked the subject matter. And at the same time, there's social forces at play as well. In the family I grew up with, a Wisconsin Scandinavian family, like, emotions weren't, in that tribe, emotional expression wasn't comfortable with the tribe. And knowing myself now, it's like I want to be a coach, which is kind of, it's a profession in which I need to know and understand how humans work and understand their emotions, and all of those. That subject matter wouldn't have been comfortable in the tribe I grew up in. Now, you might see on movies where the father gets mad at the child, and there's this big open conflict about, you can't be that,
Right.
I'm a lawyer, you can't be a musician.
Right.
But it wasn't like that for me at all. There was no open conflict. These were subtle factors that were affecting me that I wasn't even aware of. And I think that's true for all people. Like, we tend to teach, like, in my case, I picked a career that was interesting to me. It was challenging. Part of me wanted to show people that I could become a chemist, because I thought it would give me higher social standing. My family members would have been comfortable with it, because there's chemistry and emotion don't need to mix.
Right.
You might say. So one thing I do with my clients is help them to understand and untangle all of those factors,
That's awesome.
and do that in a judgment-free way.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like, becoming a chemist, that really served me as a coach, because I really developed my analytical mind. And I have clients all the time that say, wow, you're really good at analytically developing a strategic plan, and kind of like categorizing and organizing the plan. And I'm sometimes surprised by it, because, like, it's a skill I have, other people don't necessarily have. And it's useful to them when I am their coach. And that was developed because of my tribal upbringing, the surroundings in my upbringing. So the important thing is to not judge the situations you've had, because
Right.
all situations serve you.
And that brings up a point, John. I know I find in coaching clients that they sometimes think that they just have to throw, like that experience was wasted. And it really isn't. Just like you
Right.
explained, there's
Right.
things that people are doing in their current job, in their current career, that will serve them well in what they're moving towards. And I
Yeah.
think people have that feeling like, I can't do that because I would have wasted all the experience and years that I've,
Right.
accumulated to
Right.
this
Yeah.
point. And I think people don't realize that a lot of that's transferable into what they're going to.
Totally. Totally. Yes. It reminds me of the story. Like, I think of like a junior high kid, like, let's say, oh, we're in the March Madness time right now, so they
Right.
might see like the basketball on television and say, whoa, that's what I want to do. I want to be in the, where are we at, the elite eight? I want to be on an elite eight basketball team. But a junior high kid instinctively knows you don't just join that college team. You
Right.
start with where you're at, and he joins the junior high team.
Right.
Good. And that idea can be applied as like, you can have a vision of where you want to go, and you can look at your current job as kind of the junior high version of the big job you're going for,
Right.
and start figuring out what are the skills I need to get good at in order to be good in that career, and how
Exactly.
can I put that into my current situation? What are some skills I can use at my current job that my employer and boss would love me for developing those skills, but are going to serve me down the line? So, yeah.
Exactly. Because they are transferable. You
Yes.
don't think
Yes.
they are, but even as coaches, you know, um, coming from corporate environments, there's certain things that we've done in planning and organizing and
Yes.
having meetings with people and
Yeah.
project management, that all ties into working with clients. And
Pulling projects together, pulling people together, and the big
exactly.
idea of what wherever you're going, whether you're going into a different company, different career, or starting your own business, powerful communication is one of the most important skills.
That's
And you can
really
practice
important.
powerful communication in your current job,
That's right. So wherever
because
you're at.
the game going forward, as far as I can tell, it's being influential. Um, this brings up another point. Like, growing up, uh, we were trained to, like, don't get in too much trouble, don't shine the spotlight on you,
Yeah.
be a cog in the wheel of production, and just don't stand out, don't get in trouble. And now that's kind of flipping on its head with social media and like what you and I are doing right now. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
the big idea is to, like, embrace your personality, be yourself, and be visible in the world and showcase who you are. And so, like, that's something you can start practicing and learning right now, because it's a big shift. If you're like me, you were conditioned to not do this, and um, it's a big shift um, that is becoming more and more necessary for your success. Is just this being comfortable with being visible.
Absolutely. And being authentic, you know,
Yes. Yep.
kind of industrial age thinking, you and I growing up, was be invisible. Don't make
Right. Yeah.
waves,
Yeah.
seen and
Yes.
not heard. And in
Don't
this
cause any problems. Yeah.
right, in this
Mhm.
new generation of, and there's so many people that are going into entrepreneurship, it's stand out, be
Yeah.
unique,
Yes.
be connected, not
Hmm.
disconnected, not, at your desk in your cubicle. It's like
Yeah.
complete opposite. Even
Right.
though in the
Yeah.
connected age we're kind of isolated a little bit with digital, but it's an isolation, but an inside out, because people are just sharing so much about their inner life and their inner world and being authentic. Even though it's, we're all sort of in our own digital world in our own homes, we're not like
Correct.
doing it in community personally, but we're doing it in community virtually. And that somehow gives permission to be more introspective in a
Yes.
certain way.
Yes.
So kind of that
Yes.
inside out thing. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
it's more important to be authentic and to stand out in the crowd, where I know you and I are like, don't be visible. Nose to the grindstone,
Yeah.
kind
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
do your job, get it done.
and that highlights my coaching method is like we all have patterns that are conditioned into us, and I have a method, I call it the inner freedom method,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of goes in and explores that pattern. And like you said, the conflict is part of you wants to stay in the shadows, stay safe, no spotlight, keep your mouth shut, don't cause any
Right.
problems. The other part of you, like maybe the entrepreneurial side of you, or the part of you that wants to express itself, or maybe your heart sees something in the world that could be better. And so the transition is going from keeping your mouth shut, staying quiet, to speaking about it, speaking out about what's true to you and what's important to you, and transitioning to the point that you're the stay safe conditioning no longer controls you, but you get
Yeah.
to the place where you can become comfortable with speaking and sharing your value. And as an entrepreneur, asking for business,
Mm-hmm.
asking people for money for the value you share. And and the idea is to eventually transition to the point where the fear doesn't control you, but the excitement uh, is what's in charge. And so you just go out into the world, share what you can do, and you can make a big difference, um, and create your vision, create the
Yeah.
career or business vision that you have.
And that's a process, isn't it, John? It's not an overnight, that you're talking about getting outside your comfort zone. And that's not something that people just happily jump into, right?
It is a process, and the important thing about the process is I've found, like I've listened to the marketers, they tell people the result you can get for them, but don't tell them about the process. But I don't do that because I love the process.
Mhm.
When you look at life as a game and it's playing it, like getting back into the March Madness stuff, it's like it's easy to look at it as like you want to be on the winner's podium, but
Mm.
actually you want to be like playing really well in the game,
Yeah.
which is a quote I love. My coach shares about his coach. His name, he's a soccer coach named Manny Schulscheit, and his quote is, what? Let me think of it for a second. Um, uh, the ultimate reward isn't winning; it's the experience of playing well. And I just love
Mhm.
that coach. I love that quote because it encapsulates the mindset shift I want for my players, is to like
Mm.
enjoy the journey. It's like you're not in the job you want right now, but you can actually enjoy that process. Just like a kid who's not playing college basketball yet, he can enjoy the fact, okay, I'm on the junior high team right now.
Right.
Let's play here. Let's enjoy this.
Yes. And seeing this coaching as in that gameplay language that you're using
Sure, yeah.
to make it less like work.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
like that.
I'm all for any language that empowers people. And I find
Mhm.
using game and play language really empowers people, and it sets the tone for like the transition people need to make in order to be successful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's just wonderful. So those are some of the challenges. So how do you help? We talked a little bit about this, but if you want to go further into
Sure.
maybe a player story or how you help people overcome these challenges.
Sure. Like I think what I'd like to do is kind of give you like a very brief overview of my method. And
Sure.
that would start with like clarity. Where do you want to go? And people aren't
Mm,
necessarily, they can't necessarily go to a cave and sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and get and just write out where they want to go.
right.
So it's an introspective process, but what I find helps a lot is creating a place for a safe conversation, and also getting your best idea and trying stuff and playing and experimenting and allowing your action to create more clarity. So it's like get some clarity, do some more stuff, have conversations, and allow the clarity, more actions, more clarity, and it's an upward spiral. And eventually you get to the place where it's where
Yeah.
like that. This is it. And I think people get that wrong often, or they
Mm,
judge themselves because they don't have the clarity. And that's a big point, is we've trained to judge ourselves with this idea that we judge ourselves harshly enough
Mm.
that will push us to succeed. And I found the opposite is true. I think I found that if you can stop judging yourself, and that will lead to better clarity. And without the judgment, your energy is just so much more powerful.
Especially if you're engaging in new actions and new activities, John, to have that immediate judgment and almost a perfectionistic, viewpoint. You're trying new things, making that progress, not perfection, making incremental changes. If you have that judgment, I think that's why a lot of people give up, don't you think?
I think that's huge. Like, we were trained, this crazy idea that we got into our head is like, okay, now we're adults. Any new thing, we're supposed to be able to do it right the first time.
Yeah, like
Absolutely insanity. We were given insane ideas that are in us, and that's one of the things I do as a coach is like, okay, you have this idea in your head. It's not your fault, but
right.
it got in there from our conditioning, and let's shine the light on it,
Yeah,
and change it. Yes, yeah. So absolutely correct. Yeah.
that's awesome. So once people get clarity, and then they start to do this spiral up type of practice and review and evaluate, and then what happens?
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about mindset shift.
Yes.
And another part of it is just when you're not controlled by fear, and you're able to use your rational brain optimally, you're able to come up with a practical plan around
Mm.
money and health insurance and all the things people are concerned about when they're making a career transition. When you're in fear, it's hard to manage those
Yeah,
practical things
absolutely.
when you're not controlled by the fear. But another point about the fear is sometimes there's wisdom in fear. So I'm not talking about throwing out fear. I'm talking about understanding and befriending it. And if you make it your friend, that it can serve you, because sometimes there's wisdom in it. But for most people, they don't understand their fear, and they don't embrace it. And when they do that, then the fear tends to run the show. And going back to game language, if fear's running the show, you're going to lose.
That's right.
Yeah. And I talked a little bit about aligning your whole life. That's getting your physical environment around you aligned with where you want to go, getting the people around you, getting the things around you all aligned. Talked a little bit about the skills that you need to acquire to be successful in whatever pathway you take, whether it's a new career or a business, developing those skills. And the big skill is powerful communication across the board. And a final idea is, we talked about some of these mindset shifts, and when you start incorporating these, you can I call it like stepping into the new magnetic version of yourself.
Oh, I love that.
Where that potential and awesomeness, you have a subtle senses there, like that's allowed to fully come out. And a lot of people have fear around like fully expressing the most powerful version of themselves.
Right.
So if I can help people embrace that power they have, and get comfortable with the fear that's saying, whoa, slow down here, like that powerful version of themselves kind of emerges, and success really happens.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had a player this past fall that's exactly what happened.
Oh yeah.
She was she was a chemical engineer. She was for a while she shifted to she got a job in marketing, but ultimately she wanted to have her own business. And once she started kind of embracing and owning her own power, and she quickly got 3 clients like within a couple months.
Wow.
It was a beautiful thing to witness and to be a part of. And this goes back to the question about why I love my job. That's why I love my job, when I help facilitate those big transformations for people.
What do you think was the biggest shift for her, John?
That's a great question. The biggest shift, this comes back to a quote. When I first discovered coaching, I found the man who most people consider as the founding father of coaching. His name was Thomas Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
He has this quote that I thought, like the more I coach, the more true I find it to be. And that quote is, what people are really looking for is permission to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And with her, I think I helped her, and I also encouraged her, her tribe, you might say, her friends and colleagues, and so on, to give her that tribal support and belief in her, and like she got this permission to be great from me and the people around her,
Mm-hmm.
and that it happened. And it was when somebody fully owns their greatness and their
Yeah.
power and their awesomeness, it's just it's almost magical, the shift that can happen, and the results
Absolutely.
can just be amazing.
It's transformation. Yeah.
It's transformational. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
That's a big point, is like people come for me to results, and if your results are big enough, it's going to require transformation first, and the transformation, that can actually be fun. That can be like the again, getting back to that quote I was talking about. It's like making the transformation can be the ultimate reward versus the results you get in life. Both are good. I love results,
Right.
but I want people to embrace this idea that we only live once, and having that experience of doing what it takes to create a transformation within yourself is like, that's where it's at.
Yeah. And I don't know
That's
about
good
you,
stuff.
John, but I find when people start making those shifts and having transformation, every area of their life changes, not just the one you're currently working with them on, right?
Yes. It's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of my
like,
secret is I tell people I'm a career coach, but I don't really say that, okay, when you make this career shift, your whole life is going to shift as well, because
right,
they're all connected. And in some ways, like some
exactly.
of the skills you need to develop to move into this new career or new business, like those, as you get better at those skills, your personal relation, I mean, this happens a lot. Like I help people with powerful communication, and then all of a sudden the relationships get better.
Exactly.
It's all, yeah, it's all connected. So
Right.
that's my secret is, I'm going to tell you I'm going to help you in your career, but really I'm going to help you in your whole life.
Yeah. I have that with money. People come in for help with certain aspects of their money, pay off debt, organize better, create more income, and they end up transforming their life. Because when you work with people, especially on major areas of their mindset, like fear and shame and guilt or whatever it is, when they transition those core patterns, core
Yep.
beliefs, they bleed through everything, their core. So
Yeah.
it hits every area of their life. And I think that's, I think life coaches get a bad name, because the coaching industry sort of started out with life coaching and things that have been in the media and in TV shows about life coaches
Mm-hmm.
is a little bit superficial. But I think that's changing. And I know for me as a financial and money coach and you as a career coach, we really are life coaches with those special areas of expertise because we're committed to helping people transform their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yep. 100%,
Yeah.
100% agree with all that.
Yay, it's exciting. That always gets me excited. Yeah,
Me as well. Yes.
yeah. So, what do you love most about your business, John?
I love, so I could talk a little bit about, like, I have a lifestyle that I love.
Mhm.
I love that, um, the, I love that I choose my challenges.
Oh, wow.
Like, if I'm not getting results for my players, I know it's me. It's not my boss. It's not corporate
Mm,
politics. It's none of that. It's me. And that's very empowering. Like, okay, it's, you're not getting the results. You need to get better at coaching,
yeah,
or people aren't signing up. I need to get better at that part of my business. And
right.
I love that, because a lot of people feel like they're victims. Um,
Mm,
but so I like the idea of you choose, like when you choose a sport, you jump into the game, and the sport provides challenges. For example, in basketball, they put defenders, they make you dribble the ball. You have to shoot the ball into a tiny hoop that's just a little bit bigger than the ball. And it's like, that's what makes it fun. So
yes,
when you choose your game and your challenges, then you can have fun with the challenges.
Oh, that's
Most
great.
people look at work and like unexpected things that come up, they're all problems. And then they get into this pattern of their whole life is just, what's the next problem? Okay, handle that problem.
Yeah,
Oh, here comes another problem, next problem.
it's a
That's
really
no
good
freaking way to
point.
live.
Yeah,
So I love that. And I also love just, I found the career that's perfect and correct for me. I found a way that I can maximize the value I add to people. And I just love what I
just
do.
love.
Like, I get on a call with people, and by the end of the call, I'm so charged up because I'm doing what I'm here to meant to be doing. It's
Yeah,
the best way to live. Yeah.
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So what sets you apart, John? What makes you unique in the marketplace where there's a lot of coaches and a lot of
Yes.
people, talking about
Yeah.
career coaching?
I think it's a great question. And I've been thinking about this question the last couple for a while now. And I've kind of created some categories where I feel like coaches can fit themselves into. A lot of coaches kind of fit themselves into this way of being that they're asking powerful questions, which
Mhm.
pulls out the power and intelligence of their client, and they kind of stop there. And powerful questions are super important.
Yes.
And clients tell me all the time is like, you asked me lots of great, powerful questions that really pulled out my own wisdom, which is awesome.
Mhm.
And I love that. And I think some coaches get caught up being with the idea that's the be all and all. And I think that's one part of it. Now, and other coaches have more of a consultative style where they say,
Mm.
you want to get here to here, and I'm going to provide the how to get from where you are to where you want to go. How
Mhm.
to, again, super important. It's important for coaches to have expertise about how to get there. What's your strategy? What are some of
Mhm.
the skills you need to learn? So those two pieces are important, but the third piece is possibly most important, and that's understanding human subconscious, human resistance to taking action, human fears, and how that can hold us back. And what I do for people is I help them understand and befriend the forces that are opposing them really
Mm.
sharing big in the world and going for it and going for the big career. Understanding, befriending the forces within them, and not judging those forces. But if you can make friends with them, then they take their proper place in terms of the decision making that you have. If you don't do that, the that voice that you're not listening to kind of wins the day and takes over and controls your life.
Yeah.
And there's a big idea that we need to like power through and overcome fear.
Oh, yeah.
And I find it's one of these ideas at the surface level, it sounds good, but what I found is, which is much more powerful, like I said, is going into the fear, understanding it. You have to have the courage to look it in the eye and
Mhm.
feel the physical sensations that come up when you have fear. But but when you do that, it's not nearly as scary as people think. And again, that fear piece gets shrunk down to its proper size, so you can actually take
Exactly.
action with it. Because fear is part of being human. It serves humans. There's no need to have a negative judgment about fear
Mhm.
when we can just understand it and embrace it. It takes its proper place, and it comes along for the ride as you go for your career and life dream.
Right. And, in working with people on their mindset, like I do, John, I find that couple things, emotions, I had one mentor once say that emotions are like clouds.
Mm-hmm.
If they just, they're coming, there's another one coming, but
Yep.
if you let them go,
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
will keep moving. But it's our resistance to the emotions that gets us stuck in it. And
Correct.
so
Yes. Yeah.
we do either two things. We either we avoid it by
Yeah.
distraction, or we try to layer on top of it, the self-help industry with affirmations. And so we
Mm-hmm.
layer on top of it with actually facing the
Yeah.
actual fear. And
Yep.
so we're either distracting
Yep.
and actually the layering over is distraction too. So we're covering it up in a sense
Totally.
instead of taking a look at it. And it's very interesting that when you take a look at your emotions, I think people think, I'll just be afraid, to the point where I can't stand it. But actually, it's the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
When you start tapping into those emotions, they dissipate. I mean, they actually
Yes.
go away, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
until you build that experience, people don't know that.
Yeah.
And I think what you provide, and in some cases what I provide, is that doing that in a place where you're supported and that you're not doing that alone. Because I think some of, the trying to distract it away is because you're trying to deal with it on your own, and having that experience where somebody walks you through that, I think is really powerful.
Yes. Yeah. Because we are wired to be safe, and like one of the uh, getting past this fear piece and like doing it with a coach. This is why having a coach that doesn't judge fear.
Yes.
And this gets back to your point about emotions. They're just, they serve a function. They're trying to tell you something. Like if
Right.
I'm building a business and I'm frustrating, that's the frustration is an emotion saying is like, do something different. This isn't working.
Yes.
Or if you're frustrated in your job, it's like change something. Or if you're like depressed, like look at your life as like what, like everything I'm talking about, if you're not pursuing a big meaning or a vision, if there's not something true in your heart that you're pursuing, it's easy to understand why a lot of people are depressed.
Absolutely.
It's easy to understand that. So again, this gets back to these emotions are your friends. They're trying to tell you something.
Right.
So, but if you ignore them, your friend, if you're putting yourself in danger and your friend is telling you, John, you're putting if a friend is saying to me, John, you're putting yourself to danger. And if I say, shut up, shut up, shut up, a good friend is going to keep yelling at me. And that gets your point. If you just listen to, understand the fear, understand the emotion, embrace it, then you can understand what it's trying to tell you and move forward. And another important point about this fear piece is what people really are most uncomfortable with is like it's the actual physical sensations that come up in your body.
Yes.
And this is, in my mind, like this is the language of fear that people don't talk about enough. They say, just overcome your fear. And that's like talking with your rational mind. It's like,
Right.
it's sending the message to the wrong place.
Right.
Because fear manifests itself in the more core reptilian part of your brain.
Absolutely.
And it also comes out in physical sensations. So and that's part of the method I use, is I help people befriend the physical sensations that happen when fear comes up. And when you can go in, embrace the physical sensations that come up, and then you can befriend them and understand them, that's when you can kind of shift fear from stopping you to kind of getting on board. And once you can get your fear on board and letting fear know, I'm not going to toss you out, I'm not going to ignore you, I will listen to you, but you're not running the show.
Absolutely.
And when you can do that, that's when great things happen. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. Okay, as we wrap up here, I have just a couple more questions for you. And one is, if you could teach the world only one thing, what would it be?
It's related to, like, I want people to approach life from the perspective of having some career vision. It doesn't even have to be a career vision. I'm a career coach, but even if it's not in your career, like some vision that's true to your heart, that's going to demand that you embrace your fear. That you do everything I talk about. It's going to demand you like get better at the skills that are necessary and all the things that my coaching method, like upgrade your mindset, creating a good practical plan, aligning your life, like having that meaningful vision provides like the framework for a wonderful journey of a life that's exciting and powerful. And it's like, and again, like it's, your life isn't one problem after another. It becomes challenges that you chose, that you're embracing, that you can enjoy the process of overcoming the challenge and getting better at the skills. so that you're always on the pathway to a vision. And another key point is like, enjoy the experience of doing well on that pathway versus thinking happiness will come once I get the gold medal and I'm standing on the platform. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm all for that experience as well. But people get it backwards a little bit, like thinking I'm just going to work hard and suffer, and then eventually I'll get on that podium with that gold medal around my neck, and then life is going to be great from there. Or it's not. Life is great as you are clear about the gold medal podium where you want to get to, and you are enjoying the pathway to get there and embracing the growth and the transformation that's required of you to get there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you so much, John. It's always interesting to talk to you, and I love what you're doing. I love all the information and getting people to play in games and get their dreams and their visions for their life and their career in place. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to know more about you, ask more information? Share with me.
Please, yes. First of all, please get in touch with me because I'm so enthused about this. I really, really want to help people get going on their career vision. And I want them to know it's possible. And if you're in this place of a rut and you have a sense that you could do and be so much more, maybe there's some fear there. But I want you to get a hold of me. And for starters, have a conversation with me. And the way you can get a hold of me is I'm on LinkedIn. So you can
I'll put links down in the description so people can link to you.
Okay, so there'll be links, and you can also email me. That's john.dumholdt@outlook.com, and that will be
we'll include that.
So
okay, awesome. All right, well, thanks so much, John, and I look forward to watching you as you expand and grow and help others to make a big difference in the world.
And I'll be doing the same with you, Estelle.
Okay,
and thank you so
awesome.
much for having me. It was a blast to have this conversation with you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.